a new one
Yeah,
then after a little while, but
yeah. But I just stream it until y'all cut it off. Whenever y'all cut it off, I just let it run until y'all cut it off.
yep, it's all cool.
That way y'all will get some watch hours.
Okay.
I'm up.
All right.
All right.
So see you
I'm
later,
out.
Mitch.
No.
All right. Enjoy your food.
Take care, dude. Yeah, I haven't looked into it, but I imagine it's a question that's come up before, and it probably has nothing to do with your situation because you're talking about your own area. But what if you're in a one party consent and you're calling to a two party consent? Where's how does that go down?
I'm not a lawyer, but I play one on the internet. I would guess I would guess that it's going to go by your state. If you're the one making the call, I would
Yeah.
guess that even though you're calling a two party, you might be in trouble for it. And I'm going to put just so it won't confuse people. I'm going to put Mitch backstage because I'm pretty sure his stream will still keep working.
Okay, yeah.
But people will be coming and going, "Oh, is Mitch here?" No, we want to
Or Mitch
talk
is
to him.
out. Yeah, Mitch is out to dinner or whatever. Backstage, is fine.
Yeah, I noticed the little link is up there and it's still active. So, yep.
Did you change mine and the other like maybe Cinco? Somebody changed it. That wasn't me, man.
2 days ago.
That- but yeah,
Yes.
I saw it. No, I know. I noticed it. I was like, I wonder if it was Finko
Oh.
or if it was freaking Muxter. One of these
I
bastards
kept
changed it.
waiting to see if you guys. The very first time you came in said not Quattro. Then I
Yeah.
went, ooh, possibly Cinco. And I kept waiting to see if you were
I
going to
don't-
change it or
No,
something.
I don't care. I just left it because it's funny, man.
Yeah. And you know what
I was
I
like,
just did just now? I
said
looked at
something
my
else.
name to see.
Nah, I wouldn't. I wouldn't mess with it.
Yeah.
Maybe Finko, just because it's Finko, you know.
Well, I will tell you, because I think at the time, for some reason, you didn't have the underneath one, which you usually do
Okay.
have. And
Yeah.
and because usually I'm not like with Track now. He has team podcasts. I won't mess with those, you know.
Right.
But yeah, I think yours was blank, so you had not Quattro, but yeah, possibly Cinco.
See, that's kind of funny too, is because like my parentheses team Buscast, I put that
Right.
in myself as like part of
Yeah,
my name,
I know.
Yeah,
but the
Yeah.
team podcast, like I didn't put that there. That's from TPP.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
from them.
But the only time I ever gave myself an undertitle like that was on Bear Britain's channel, and we were putting our gamer tags on there.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't know how. I mean, I guess when you have authorities, or maybe that shit doesn't carry over, that maybe the channel owner can do that. But
Well,
on this channel, I didn't put Team Podcast because the only thing I ever put underneath was the gamer tag.
But it follows you like unless you change it. But I know that was the same thing when I bought a membership over there. Then the next time I logged in, it came up on mine. That's back when they used to just do the parentheses, and I thought it was
Right.
like an automatic thing. But I guess they must like keep a little list there or something. If someone comes in, then they go, "Oh, okay, attach that."
you should
Yeah, and I
do the water and the parentheses, you know, the splash.
Being on my phone, I really don't know how to mess with the emojis like that.
Gives you an option all the way up on top, and then you push that one, and it'll say emojis up there, and that's the one you got to push to be able to do that. I figured that
Oh,
one
okay.
out.
I can change it for you if you want. I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm good.
Another thing, guys. Okay, so when I log in this computer, this is what you see, right? This guy,
Yeah.
The phone that I was using comes up different, and my other phone that I use upstairs, that one also comes up different. So it all depends which one I log in on. Whichever was the last thing I used on that device, that's what's going to come
I've
up.
noticed this. I've noticed the same thing with browsers.
Yes.
Sometimes I would switch browsers and it would have whatever I used the
Yeah.
last time I was on that
Right,
browser.
right. Ain't that weird? But yeah, you'd think it'd be all, once you change it, it'd be the same, but it's
Yeah,
not.
it would attach to your account. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't do tech. It's really not my forte. So if it's simple and I can use it, like to even be able to talk to you guys and come up on panel or watch YouTube, I'm like, I'm all about it. Click a button, hey, I'm watching something, or click a button and hey, I'm talking to somebody. But you got to go into options and settings, and too many choices. Oh, fuck that.
I just realized I never did go over. I forget if it was you or Killen that mentioned about that one place had the site with the sort of how to mod video, and I forgot to go and look at that, see if I pick up any more stuff. But that's what I mean. I'm not real techie, but I've been picking stuff up here. Well, it makes a difference. We're admins here, so there's stuff we've had to learn how to do.
Right, right.
My
Which is
dad
great.
is
I don't know.
like you
Yeah.
guys were talking about like what age is old. Growing up, my best friends, my parents, my mom is my dad's second wife, and I'm the youngest of his 6. So when people talk about how old their parents were, my dad is old enough to be their parents' dad, and his oldest son is old enough to be my dad.
Well, my mother would
Like
have
if you
been.
talk about stuff in the 20s and stuff like that, in the early 20s.
Right.
I've grown up with that sentiment, but my dad is the most techie person. He's got the watch, he's got the tablet, he's got the laptop,
Yeah.
he's got the desktop. He's got every tech that comes out that can communicate with people because he stays in that moment. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
He's
He's
also a
in the
bit of a
grind.
weirdo when it comes to like a lot of what he does now in his retirement is like, yeah, talking to friends and keeping up with family, but a lot of what he does is like political talk, and he wants to be in the moment, and it's like, oh, fuck that.
Yeah.
I was lucky. Now there's a lot, like I'm really catching up on phone stuff because I didn't have a cell phone early. For one thing, we had bad reception around here for a long time, but I was kind of early with a lot of the computer stuff just because I got them at the library, but then a lot of the internet stuff sort of got past me then because I wasn't using as much. So I'm doing catch up again now.
Catch up or catch up?
But
Yeah.
depends on how spicy the tomatoes were.
There you go.
Well, there's Mello saying hello, Mitch. And even though Mitch is no longer up on the screen.
Wow. I'll holler at him real quick.
Yeah, that was something.
That's why. Yeah. Mitch is
Yeah,
at dinner.
I'm going to go
Mello.
over there.
Well, he should be
I'll
able to
go
hear
over.
us if Mitch is
Oh,
restreaming.
okay. That's right. My bad.
Yeah.
All
That's
right.
right. I forgot that. Oh,
came back.
both of those guys are over at Mitch's because I noticed the little links now. Yeah, Mitch is restreaming us, but he went out for lasagna.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
at Din time. Yeah.
Yeah, the technology, it really messed with me when it came to education time because, everything was books and paperwork when I was in high school. And then you go into college and they, basically required you not to, they didn't require you to have a computer or a laptop or anything like that. But the intercourse between your professors and your what do they call them, like the people that help you sign up for classes, all that stuff was over an Ethernet.
Yeah.
And I
Okay.
didn't learn computers in school, so it was like I was a failure there.
Right.
And I've been to four colleges, and it just kept progressing as I wasn't, I don't have the stuff at home. I've never had the stuff at home, and no job I've ever had was, techie. And my friends have always been, people like me, like, hey, when are we going outside? And so when it stopped being books and paper and listening to lectures, it started really being like, you know what? I'm gonna take my little 2-year degree and I'm gonna just get a job and leave all that shit behind.
Let me tell you how old I am technology-wise. When I was a senior in high school, my father bought me something, and I was the first kid in my school to have one. Everybody was like, "Oh, hey, where'd you get that? Oh my God, you got one of those." And it was a pocket calculator. And all it did at the time was
watch.
It was add, subtract, multiply, divide, and it did squares and square roots. It was a Texas Instrument.
Yes.
And everybody was amazed at it because I was the first one to have one.
I think the ones that we had that they were required for like geometry and stuff like that was, I think it was called the TI-85. It was like the most popular. And we spent more time playing the game Worm.
I remember that. No, I still had to, for geometry and trigonometry, I still had to remember all the equations and stuff myself, because by the time I went to electronics school, then they had all the famous ones, the fancy ones that would do all that crap for you. And actually, when I was in electronics school was when computers were just coming out. You had the Trash 80 and the Commodores.
The last school that I went to, because the bigger school picture, of course, you got to log into everything to do everything, to do anything, and that really pissed me off. But I signed up for because I was in business school, and it was business finance. And so a finance calculator has specified functions for, interest rates and all those special things when you're talking about like going in or amortization and all that stuff. So you just click a couple of buttons and you can show somebody what their payment's going to be at a certain interest rate. And I missed the first 3 days of class because I was a late register. And so I never learned how to use this fucking $60 calculator. And it looks like a normal calculator. It's not like the TI, heavy duty calculators. It looked like a normal calculator. I never learned how to use it. But because of my upbringing in just learning, learning equations along the way, even if I was wrong, as far as what I came out with in my equations, it was like, hey, that's close enough to C. So I picked C. And I wound up getting a C in the class. And I think some of it was my good guessing. And I think some of it was a little bit of pity. But that became like my demeanor. Like I was the first one to class. I sat up front, and hopefully he spotted me a few along the way, You
know what? That's how I passed calculus. Because I taught myself algebra because I had a lousy algebra. Well, he wasn't bad. He just didn't work for me in 9th grade. Because I have to know why you're doing things rather than just learn them by rote. And he wanted us just to like memorize how to do stuff first. So I taught myself algebra. Then I was good for geometry and trig. And I hit calculus and I was like, what the hell is this? And it was like the same thing. I somehow passed it. I had to take it in electronics school. But it was just like the same kind of thing, pretty much, a Charlie out. But I was going to say one thing now, screw calculators, because now all you got to do is say, Hey Siri, what's the square root of 859?
I found this on the web.
She's not giving me the answer. She's making me look at the web.
Okay.
I
She's
tried.
being lazy.
How about this? Hey Siri, what's 23 times 75?
That would be 1,725.
Okay. So she can do the basics, just not the other stuff.
Yeah. So if you ask her to amortize a loan at 2.25% on a property that's $200,000 over 30 years, with property taxes of, you know,
Yeah.
she's
Yeah, that's
gonna be like,
definitely going to be.
yeah,
I
go-
found this on the web.
hey, here's a realtor's phone number.
Yeah. I swear sometimes she's thinking it, but she doesn't come right out and go, "Hey, Dan, fuck you."
Yeah. Work at it, buddy. You figure it out.
Yeah. I mean, even when I get my my mortgage bill each month, there's not that many numbers on it that I think would confuse fucking Siri or Google.
Yeah.
But they always direct you towards a phone number to like, oh, if you can't do that math, maybe you should sell your house, dumbass.
Yeah, you do not deserve to be a property owner. It's 10% interest. How hard is it, you idiot? Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I pick things up and put them down for a living. If everybody did math for a living, nobody would fucking go out and churn a field and pay attention to the weather and, you know, drive between the lines.
I always, you guys, you had to have seen Goodwill Hunting, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I when I watched that, and there's been other shows like that, and I look at those equations, and it's just like, what the fuck does all that mean? You know?
Yeah, and
Right.
I took statistics, you know, basic level. Basic, you know, it's
Yeah.
just, oh, I took a college course. I'm a genius. No, that's not the truth. But I took statistics and you know, the symbols, you know, you got plenty of numbers, but the symbols represent like so like a data point. You know, you can have X amount of apples, right? So now X equals apples. But if you take away apples and put a number there, then X will equal apples throughout the rest of the equation, right? So, and I'm like I said, I'm no expert, but it boils down to these different symbols when you have so many different data points to try to break down the statistic that you're trying to prove.
Yeah, if I would have finished the college I was going to originally, and this is the kind of thing that drives a parent crazy. I quit after 3 years. I would have had to take statistics, but I never got to that.
It was fun. It really was. But you know, we got to use, you know, there wasn't the restrictions of, oh, you have to learn these standard equations for these data points and no calculators. It was use your calculator, and that data sheet in the middle of the chapter is perforated so that way you can use it on the test, because there's no way we're going to expect you to remember all of that shit and pass this class.
You know, I just
But
remember
you had
now, this was,
so it's like what is it, the reading comprehension in math, you did have to remember like the key words in the reading comprehension of a paragraph, that matched the order of the equations that you were going to have to use, and you were going to have to use up 5 or so equations per stat that you were expected to come out with.
When I was in high school, I totally forgot about this until you were saying about having, the equations and that. We were taught how to use logarithms. You have any idea what a logarithm is?
I remember the word, but no.
Well, yeah, because they'll say something like a logarithmic progression or something. It was in order to work with big numbers, like, Jesus, I'm even forgetting now how to do it. But basically, you had to have these tables for the logarithm that would represent another number, and then you'd work it all out to like the power of 10. Yeah, I can't even remember how to do them anymore, but it was like you had to have these charts that look up the logarithm for numbers forgot all about those.
Yeah, we just ask Siri nowadays.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ask AI.
Do you know, I saw Nartu said over there about his turning on by itself. I hate when that's what happened. And I'm not going to say the name. I'll use another name. The one day I was talking, I don't even remember what I said, but it was like, hey, Alexa, what's the weather like today? And I don't even know why, but Sarge's his phone heard me, and it answered and said, oh, well, hello there, Robert Williams, except that wasn't the name. It outed him. It totally doxed him. And it's funny, though.
Gina did the same thing.
Really?
Yeah, she did.
Mine will not respond to anybody else. I've had different people try to talk and even say things like, hey, Siri, tell us a joke. She went to sleep on me. Siri, where are you? Siri? Oh, okay, I guess I knew it. Hey, Siri, tell us a joke.
The sporting goods store just had a big sale on canoes. It was quite the ordeal.
Ordeal, OAR. But anyway, I've had many people try to get her to tell a joke, and she will not talk to anybody but me. On the other hand, I'm triggering Sarges all the time over the YouTube.
I'll be driving and mine just.
Go ahead.
I'm just saying that I'll be driving and mine just, yes, how can I help you? I'm like, I didn't even talk to you.
Well, I remember when I first got it, and I was like, I was looking up a phone number, and it was like, hey, Alexa, what's the phone number for Serena's Pizza? And she's like, oh, well, that number is 815-378-2215. And it's like, okay. And it's like, the address would be 872 Maple Street. Okay. It's like, would you like me to call that for you? I'm like, get off my fucking back. Don't be so clingy. All I wanted was a number. Anyway. Yeah, I have this strange relationship with my phone.
When we were doing land nav, they took us out, and I was in El Paso. So it was like they took us out to West Texas desert, and about a square mile was our land nav course. And you got your map that is true to the area we're at, but there's an equation from map north, like grid north, to true
magnetic
north,
and actual north. Yeah.
So I think we called it grid north and true north, which would be your compass. So you got map
magnetic
versus
and true. Yeah, but go ahead. I'm sorry. I forget your long pauses track.
But there's an equation that that I can't remember that brings them together. And then there's the amount of digits that you have. So it's like if you have 6 digits or something like that, it'll bring you within, and I can't remember any of this, but it'll bring you in like 100 feet or something like that. So if you have 8
Mhm.
digits, it'll bring you 10 feet. But if you mess up on your, and then when you get to your location, you know, you're looking for a stake with a flag on it, and it's sticking
Okay.
about 6 inches out of the ground with a number on it.
Yeah, so
But-
you got to be close.
But when you see the sticks when you show up, and you've been trying to track by, you know, looking up and keeping your line of sight on your you know, your trajectory physically while matching your compass, while going over terrain and stuff like that. And you get to your point, and you know, basically 10 feet apart are these stakes. And you better get the right number, because you're gonna keep going. You're gonna keep going and keep going and keep going, because you're not getting checked until you have something for every point. It's not like go to this point, come back. It's like you go get all your points and then you come back. So whichever one you missed, they'll make you replot it. But based off of the land that we were on, they were like, hey, there's a road over here. Do not cross this road. There is nothing out there. So if you reach the road, you did your math wrong. And I'm running to a point, and mind it, we're in the Texas heat, full gear, running through the desert, trying to be like badass, like we did our math right and we're going to get our points. And I reach a point with a bunch of stakes, and I'm standing at a stake. And this fucking dude keeps running past the stakes. Like he might have been like 20, 30 feet to my left, and he keeps running. And he hits the road, and he keeps running. And I'm trying to scream at him. You know, we're in a class. You know,
Yeah.
it's not a competition, it's a class. And he runs across the road, and I'm like, all right, fuck that dude. And I had to redo a point, and I still made it in time. And I was like, oh, thank God. I don't know where that other fucking up. He might have wound up in Mexico for all I know.
It's probably still out there wandering around. You know, I was just thinking, damn, it's awful tough becoming a cook.
Well, everybody has to do this shit. Everybody. Well,
Yeah.
no, that
No,
that was not.
I was just joking.
That wasn't basic training. That was my leadership course. So I wasn't in charge of him, so I just kind of let him lead himself, I guess.
Actually, as
But
was
I tried.
explained to me,
I screamed at him. I tried. I'm like, hey, you motherfucker.
a guy told me one time he was a World War II vet, and he was saying that one of the strengths of the American Army was everybody had to know everybody else's job, because, you know, it was like if you're out there and, you know, the colonel is killed, the major takes over, and then it's the cap. And he says it come down to, you know, if people keep getting killed and you're a corporal, now you're in charge and you have to know how to do all that shit that the colonel was doing, you know. But like a lot of armies aren't like that. You take out the head and they don't know what the hell to do.
Right.
Yes.
I'll be right back.
And
guys.
that's something
Hold on.
that's something that all right, cool. Yeah, that's definitely something that I've brought with me my life is that in within my company now, you know, I started at the bottom. I was a nobody and I was making no money. But I took it seriously, and they were like, "Hey, you want to do this over here?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." And next thing you know, I'm not the low man on the totem pole anymore, and I'm over here doing this other thing, and I'm making money. And they're like, "Hey, we got a new guy, and he's doing what you used to do down there at the bottom. Would you give him the run through?" And I wasn't like, "Oh man, I got to go back down there again." It was like, well, I'm making the same amount of money whether I do this job that they put me at, or that job teaching this person how to do shit right, And if this person does shit right, it does directly affect me, because if the person at the bottom doesn't do shit right, the person at the top doesn't
Yeah.
have what they need to do their job. So, I took that cycle with me. And, if my boss took me on, like, hey, come with me for a couple hours because I need your help doing certain things. I didn't take it as, oh, thank God I don't have to like be this hustler anymore. I can just chill with the boss. I was like, no, I got a clear view of what the boss is doing because I've been there before with the other system. And it's like, okay, if this person ever says, hey, I'm split and I need you to be over here and this person while I'm over here, I'm like, okay, I can fulfill that position because I've been a leader before. It's a tough thing to do because you got to call people out when they're wrong. You got to teach people how to do things that they've never done before, and you have to hold them accountable for the expectations. Because I lead myself when my boss says, "Hey, I need you to do this," or "Hey, we're kind of cutting it close. I need you to, find a way to step it up a notch or something like that." I don't look at him like, "Oh, why are you whipping me, boy?" I look at him like, "Hey, man, I got you. I'm gonna do my absolute best because that's what I would expect of myself. If I was in charge of myself, I would expect myself to do my best. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's yeah.
One of my
That other world is completely different as far as the tasks and the education, but the lessons, if if they don't carry on with you, good luck with life, man.
one of my managerial philosophies, and I'm amazed at how many people are in a management position and don't get it, is I don't care how you do a job as long as at the end of the day what I needed done is done. You know, there are some people that they're worried about details, oh, you have to do it this way, you have to do it that way. For me, it's like, if I ask you to whatever, hey, make sure all these crates are ready to be shipped out tomorrow. And, I don't care. Like if you are stupid and carry them by hand instead of using the forklift, if all the crates are there at the end of the day, I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Whatever works
And it's
for you.
logistics. And I've taken again, I've taken college classes that have helped me mentally understand the things that I'm doing. I did pass the class, but I'm not talking about the class. What I'm talking about is like logistics. You have time, you have space, and you have effort. Don't waste any of them, and you'll probably be okay. In my opinion, based off
Yeah.
of my life and how I've had to go through things. Don't waste my time, don't waste my space, and don't waste my effort. Because, everything, nothing, like you said, there's more than one way to skin a cat. That becomes the art of it rather than those three things.
Yeah.
Use your artistic brain, use your critical thinking based off of what you have, how much time you have, how much space you have, and how many bodies full of energy you have to get something done. Because you might just have to, dig a hole to the core of the earth by yourself. But if you can have a time and you got space and you got equipment, because equipment counts as energy, well, think of another way and don't waste your bodies. You know what I'm saying?
I know the first year I was out of high school, because when I first graduated high school, then I worked summers construction. And I remember the very first construction crew I was on, they were the biggest clowns and practical jokers on the whole job. But they got more earth moved and you know, more road built than anybody else on the whole. It was a huge project, and right there, I thought, because a lot of them, you'd get these bosses who just didn't like guys joking around and stuff like that, but like I said, they got the job done. So
Yeah. I've definitely seen that in my job where it's like, you know, it used to be kind of that mentality of if the supervisor or even a higher manager caught you like having some sort of a joking private conversation, and be like, what are you guys doing? You know, you could be
Yeah.
doing this, you could be doing that, you could be doing the other. But little do they know is the only thing they saw was us, you know, having a giggle conversation. What they didn't see was how we hustled through our job and did extra, and like in between like finding the next thing to do, like we had some camaraderie. So you actually like the person that you're working next to. And that's a big, you know, it comes from, for me, it comes from a previous place, but I use it today and I try to teach it to youngsters as well. It's like, hey, if you have something pressing, handle that shit. If you need help with it, say something. But it's only when you're done can you like go through your Instagram and play with your phone for 5-10 minutes or whatever, or have a conversation with somebody that's not so serious. Not everything has to be at work. Because I have a perception too. It's like when I walk into the office, I see salaried people that wear button ups and collared shirts and khakis, and you know they're on their computers and all that type of stuff. But they're salaried, so when they take a minute and they're not doing anything, or if they leave early or something like that, they're covered paycheck wise. Whereas we're like, hey, we're not going to make our 8 hours if we do what we do the best that we can, but we do need to get paid. So we're hustlers because we want to get done. We don't want any breathing, but you know, it's the other side of it. It's like if you're not done on time, that's when you deserve being chewed out. But if you're done an hour early and there's like 15 minutes worth of things that each and every one of you could do, it's like, no, man, I'm gonna take a cigarette break. We're gonna sit here and get to know each other a little bit, and then we're gonna knock that 15 minutes out, 15 minutes before 15 minutes out, and then we're gonna smoke and joke again. So you can't fuck with us at the end of the day, because we did everything. And if there was something that needed to be tidied up, or there was a mistake, or you know, just out of the blue, you know, what do they call it? Act of God happens. Guess who's free to handle that shit? The hustlers that are sitting there laughing and joking. It's like, oh shit, guess what just happened? It's like, well, it's not like we have shit to do because we hustled and got everything that we were already told to do done. Guess who's ready to work now?
Yep.
Yeah, I tell the guys at work all the time. It's like, you know, because we're in the ebb and flow of commerce. You know, holidays, you're going to be busy. On sale, you're going to be busy. But there's going to be those moments where it's like business just goes flat, and it'll be for a month at a time sometimes. You know, like probably 4 times a year, the business will just go flat. But you're still trying to earn a paycheck. And I'm like, those are called easy days. But you don't deserve those if you're not going to show up on you know, we get Christmas off. But if you don't show, if we have to work Christmas Eve and you don't show up ready to put in a 13-hour day, if that's what it requires, then you're not going to enjoy those little leave early days because you won't be around.
Yeah, I would think your job would be pretty much the same year round, with just like maybe a big jump at the holidays. But
I mean, what we do is the same, but it's the amount. Because
Yeah.
I mean, imagine this. I can tell you, having been doing it for a while, Tuesdays and Fridays are the easiest days.
Hmm.
So what we build on a day is for the next day. And you know, the market is the market, but not all stores have the same receiving schedules. So on an easy day, let's call it 4,500 cases. That's nothing. On your average harder day, well, it's nothing, but it's easily considered a half a day worth of work. On the normal days, your Mondays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, those are the normal days, and it's anywhere in between 8 and 10,000 cases.
Wow.
But
Yeah,
when
it's a
you
lot.
but when you are working like Christmas Eve, like I worked at Christmas Eve. It wasn't this past Christmas Eve, but it was the year before. I guess that would have been 2022. I worked 13 hours and I moved over 15,000 cases. I also
That's
had
huge,
shit for,
right? How
but
many people work there, dude? How many cases get moved? That's crazy.
well, with what I do is my job, and guaranteed, I have a kind of a cush job where I use a machine to lift cases rather than my hands. Not every person lifts
Right.
that many cases, but my section does about 30% of the cases that get done each day. So it's a pretty big portion, because if that section wasn't there, they'd need to hire 30% more people to do it by hand. And doing it by hand is not fun. I grew up in, I kind of, you know, I didn't grow up in the business, but I have grown up in this business. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Right.
I'm taking a break. I'm gonna get something to eat, and I think I'm gonna put a video or two together.
Yeah,
Oh.
you do what you got to do, man.
Maybe see people later.
Well, it was nice talking to you, Muck.
Yeah, it's good seeing you. Stop back more.
Take care, bro.
Oh, and Ariel, I took that my playlist thing that I had down there for putting up. I noticed
I
as I
see
was
it.
sitting there, it just kept repeating the first one. It wasn't going through the list.
Oh, it's not.
No, now it
So-
seemed like it was working when I had it up on the screen before. So just something about because when I had it down the back, because I kept looking, I thought that looks like the same thing. It just kept replaying the first one. So
Am I
don't
doing the
know.
I'm not here if I leave?
it's a
How long does he want to run this? Because it's already 10 hours.
well, you know what?
I mean, we can go over. It's just not going to record over the 12. That's all.
Well, you know what though? I mean, if you guys are going to hang around, this might be a good time to do a restart actually, because I noticed there's only like one person right now over at Mitch's. So
Okay.
get it now, and then
Maybe-
it'll be good for like the whole night.
How do we restart it?
You want me to do it, or
Yeah,
um,
I have no idea what you do.
yeah? Because I'd talk you through it, but I won't be able to talk you through it while we're. But
Yeah, no,
I
go ahead.
will. I will tell you, and you can play with it sometime when you go into
Yeah.
StreamYard. And of course, I don't know if you like me. I always have to pick which one I'm doing because I have my own. I have to flip it over to the. It still
I got
has
you,
it
yeah.
called Soloist or whatever, and then all you got to do is you click on live, and when you come in, then you have to make sure you hit the go live up in the thing. But yeah, let's close this down. And I'll start one, and with like I said, there was only one over at Mitch's when I looked just now, so won't be anybody really missing out over there.
Are you gonna
And,
hit the?
you'll see the live come up on YouTube then, and I'll put
Right.
I'll put this. Well, you know how to come in through StreamYard, right?
No, yeah, I'll come in straight.
Yeah.
That's not a problem.
Okay. Yep. So let's take care of that. I'll go restart one. Hopefully, Track will be back.
How is
Yeah.
Mitch gonna keep restreaming? He's gonna have
Well,
to
he
come
won't,
back
but
in
he said that'll be okay. But well, let me just do this before I leave, just for fun, because we don't get to do this all the time.
This is Sparta!
Okay, thank you for scaring me.
But
Scared the shit
yeah,
out of me.
I kicked Track out with it.
I see.
Okay.
Okay, man.
It
I'll-
should just take about a minute.